Okay, students, here we are with our examples from our 4.8 notes. So here I've got this transformation that I'm doing. In this section, we're going to be doing examples of translations. I'm going to do the first one for you, and then I'm going to expect you to do 2 and 3 by yourself and bring those in with you to class. Okay, so here it says plot, label, and draw MNO, this triangle. So here, let's start here at 0, 0. That says -2, -1. So that's where I'm going to put my M. And then I have my 2, 3. That's my N. And then I have my 3, -3. And that's my O. And using my straight edge, I am going to connect the dots. And I strongly suggest that you use color on this section because it's going to help you when you try to figure out what's the original figure that I drew and what is the image that I drew. And as we're starting out, if you want to use color on your quizzes and tests, you're very welcome to do that. But as we're starting out, using color is very helpful. So here, I'm going to color this in yellow. And I'm going to color this over here just to remind you that the yellow one is the original figure. Okay. Alright, now, the next one says, write the coordinates of M prime, N prime, O prime by adding -3 to the x coordinate. So remember, -3 means a shift to the left. So we're going to be moving this figure to the left, 3. So you take each point, 1, 2, 3. And so here, if I'm going to add a -3 to a -2, -2 plus -3 equals a -5. But they didn't want me to do anything to the y, so that stays the same. So the point, this point right here should be at -5, -1. Let's check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. So this will be my M prime. Then the next one, here, N, they wanted me to add -3. So if I take 2 and I add -3 to it, I should get a -1. They didn't want me to make any change to this one. So here, my N, I should be shifting it back 3. 1, 2, 3. So this point right here should be at -1, +3. And it is. So let's call that N prime. And then the last one, here, 3 plus a -3, that should be at 0. Don't make any changes to the y. So at 0, -3, 1, 2, 3. This is where our O prime should be. Plot and label MNO, what type of transformation that maps MNO to M prime, N prime, O prime. And of course we know that to be a translation. Because translation means slide, and because we're in the translation section. And what we're doing is we're sliding three units to the left. Every single point is being transformed 3 units to the left. So go ahead and connect your dots. And usually when we are transforming this, we usually use dotted lines to represent our transformed figure. Dotted lines, and then we rename the figure using the same letters, but we put the little prime symbols to show that it's been transformed. Okay, and now just to make sure that we understand, I'm going to color this in with a different color and show you that this one here is my transformed figure. Okay, so now we are asked to write the rule. What is the translation rule on the x-axis? Okay, what is the translation on the x-axis rule? So that's just the translation rule. X comma y is what it was. Then as we transformed it, what did we do to the x? We subtracted 3. So x minus 3 comma y. There's my translation rule. So what they're now saying is find the coordinates of the points f translated 5 units to the right. 5 units to the right. So they're asking me to add 5 to the x. So here, my x prime would be, and they want you to take your, this line here is to show your work. That would be your negative 21 plus 5. Well, negative 21 plus 5 would be negative 16. So this point here, from x to x prime, would become negative 16, comma, positive 16. Alright, the next one. Here, y, if they want me to translate it 5 units to the right, I would add 5 to this one. So that would be the 30 degrees. Okay, so 30 plus 5. So that's going to be y prime would now be at 35, comma, negative 9. And we're done with this example. And remember, you're doing these two on your own. Okay, so go ahead and turn the page. And the next page we're doing is over reflections. And again, I'm going to do the first example. So the first example says, plot, label, and draw triangle ABC. A is at 1, 2, and label A. B is at 3, 4. And C is going to be at 4, 1. And there's C. Using my straight edge, going to connect my dots. And remember, this is the original, so I connect it using a solid line. And I'm just going to relabel this, put the A out here so you can read it. Okay. And again, this is my original, so I'm going to color it in yellow. This is going to be my original ABC. Okay, so now if they want me, it says write the coordinates of A prime, B prime, C prime by making the x coordinate of the triangle ABC negative. For example, if you have a point at 1, 2, you would want to make it negative 1, 2. Okay, so basically they told us what the first one was. So here, this one is at 1, 2, so we want to make it negative 1, 2. So that means change the sign of the x. So take a look at this one, change the sign of the x. This will be negative 3, 4. This is going to be change the sign of the x, so that's going to be negative 4, 1. Now we plot and label all these points. So here, negative 1, 2. This is going to be A prime. Negative 3, 4. That's going to be B prime. And negative 4, 1. That's going to be my C prime. And this is my transformed figure. So this is where I'm going to come in and use dotted lines to make sure that I understand that this is my transformed, my image. Okay, and I'm going to shade it in the pink. Again, just so that it pops out at me on my notes when I'm trying to study over my notes. So this is my transformed figure, my image. Okay, so obviously, which axis did it reflect over? Okay, so here, this is a reflection. It says, what type of transformation is it? It is a reflection over the y-axis. See how it's opposite? If it's over the y-axis, the change is made to the x. And before, if it was over the x-axis, the change was made to the y. And I'm just going to label my x and y-axis. Okay, so now we have to come up with a rule. What was the rule? X and y is my original point. So what do? We change the x's, so that becomes a negative x, comma, and leave the y alone. Okay, so now let's extend it a little. Find the coordinates of the points reflected over the y-axis. So if this is the point, then what we do is we change the sign of y, or multiply x by a negative 1. So here, that's going to be negative 21 times negative 1. So my x prime becomes positive 21, comma 16. Here, this is going to be positive 30 times the negative 1. So my y prime would become negative 30, comma negative 9. Of course, they're not asking you to plot those points. They're just asking you to extend it. And again, I am expecting you to do 2 and 3 before you come to class. All right, our final page today is over rotations. Okay, so here we're going to start with plotting our triangle ABC. So this is going to be at 2, 1, 4, 0, and 4, 5. Okay, so this is my A, this is my B, and this is my C. And I'm using my straight edge and drawing in my solid lines for my original figure. And this is my yellow. Triangle for my original figure. Okay, so now they're saying that what I want to do is I want to rotate this. And then I want to rotate it around the origin. And I'm going to rotate it counterclockwise 90 degrees. So here, what it's going to look like, I'm just giving you a preview, what it's going to look like is it's going to change to the second quadrant. The A is going to be over 1 up 2. The B is going to be on the y-axis, and the C is going to be way over here, in line with the B, but it's going to be way over here. Okay, so when we draw it, that's what it's going to look like over here. Now let's go through this. It says, find the coordinates of A, B, C by switching the x, y to, we're going to flip the y and the x and then change the sign of the y. So here, they gave the first one to us. They said 2, 1 is going to change to A prime, so we're going to flip these. This becomes the 1, and this becomes the 2. But they didn't just want me to change flip them, y and x. They want me to change the sign of y. So y was positive 1, so this has to become negative 1. So that's how they got a negative 1, comma 2. So let's do the next one. Change them. You're going to flip them. That's going to be 0 and 4. Now, can we change the 0? Can we change the sign of 0 to positive or negative? That's a neutral. So it's not positive or negative, so we don't have to worry about that one. Now let's take a look at this one. So we're going to flip them. That's going to be 5, and that's going to be 4. But remember that that was a positive 5, so this has to become a negative 5 here. Okay, so now we're going to plot these to see if we got them right. This is going to be at negative 1, 2, 0, 4, and then negative 5, and then 4. And if you remember, that's exactly what it looked like when we turned it, a 90-degree turn, and we rotated our paper around. Okay, remember, this is the dotted one, because it's the image. Okay, and label your points. Remember, this one is my A prime, this one was my B prime, and this is my C prime. And shaded in pink. Okay, there you go. So, this is going to help us create the rule right here. There's the rule right there. It says, plot, label, and we did. What type of transformation is it? It's a rotation. And what kind of rotation is it? Well, it could be called a 90-degree counterclockwise turn, or it could be, another one you could choose is to go the other direction, and that would be 1, 2, 3. 3 times 90 would be 270, or you could call it a 270 clockwise turn. What is the 90 degrees counterclockwise rotation rule? That's the one we did up here. So if we do that, that's going to be x comma y arrow negative y comma x. They gave it to us. Alright, so now we're going to practice using that same rule on these. Okay, so remember we switch them. I'm going to switch them first. 16 and negative 21. And then we have to change the sign of this one. So my x prime becomes negative 16 comma negative 21. That should be 21. Alright, this one, the first thing we do is we switch them. So that was negative 9 comma 30. And then we have to change the sign of this one. So my y prime becomes positive 9 comma 30. And remember, you're going to be doing these two by yourself. And make sure you bring those two into class when you come into class. Okay, that's it, folks, for Notes 4.8 Transformations.